Culture Girl again. We are now in J.P. Morgan's study, which is also, as you can see, undergoing extensive work right now. And here with us is Jennifer Tonkovich, the curator of drawings and prints, and someone who's the curatorial supervisor in this whole project. Jennifer, tell us what's going on in this room.
Well, the particular challenge of this room is sort of, maintaining the ethos of Morgan's study while also putting some of his best-loved treasures in terms of Renaissance paintings and sculpture on view. And the room's had an interesting history. I mean, for many, many years, most visitors will know it was roped off with velvet ropes, and so you could barely penetrate the room. And then we removed the ropes, but also removed a fair amount of the works that were in the room. So what we're trying to do now is to reinstate some of these treasures which haven't been seen in many years, some which haven't been seen before, and reinstall them in a way that visitors will be able to appreciate each individual object, but it also maintains this sort of wonderful feeling of Morgan's study, and you can see then why he preferred spending much of the last 5 years of his life in this very room. And I think that's going to be a key part of telling the story that we do here with the collection.
So what are some of the actual renovations and changes that are going to happen? Bill, you want to pick this up here?
In this room they will be comparatively subtle. We are installing new track lighting to replace the old track lighting. The new track lighting will illuminate the walls, ceiling, and floor of this space than was previously the case. We are replacing, again, the reflective plexiglass fronts on the bookcases with non-reflective plexi so that the bindings of the books that are kept in this room will be much more visible. We're reupholstering the furniture in this space, putting a little light in the fireplace so that it's less of a black hole than was previously the case. So the room will feel refreshed and much richer and fuller than was previously the case. The other big change here is in the vault, because there was always a vault in this room, and this is where Pierpont Morgan kept his most prized possessions of all, which were his illuminated manuscripts. And I think we should show you that.
Okay, let's do that. But I've got to watch where I'm walking because we are in a construction site. Culture Girl has been through these kinds of things before. I'm going to try not to fall. I am clumsy. Okay, here we go.
This is a wonderful space with very impressive heavy vault doors, but it is original to the building. And it was here that Pierpont Morgan kept his illuminated manuscripts. And there was a table in here and a lamp.
I've never been in here. This is exciting.
No one's ever been in here.
Oh, the inner sanctum. Okay.
There was a stanchion and people could peer into this room, but they saw an empty room.
Right.
And not only an empty room, but an empty room that is painted some very unpleasant shade of green. And we've completely relit this space, again with fluorescent light, but with fluorescent light that's very different in color.
Right, you haven't done that yet. You are about to do that.
We've actually begun to do that. It will actually be very different from what was here before. And then we're going to repaint it, we're going to clean it up, and we're going to install in this room a selection of beautiful boxes and bindings and bronzes and other small objects. The visitor won't actually enter the space, but will be able to come farther into the space than was previously possible. And Jennifer, do you want to talk any more about the objects? Jennifer is making the selection for this space right now.
Well, and for so many years, really up until 2003 when we closed for the Renzo Piano project, this was where the medieval manuscripts were kept, the entire collection of medieval manuscripts. And so the piano project gave us new vaults and they were moved there. And so we've been trying to think of how to stage this space in a way that's very meaningful for the visitor, because it really is rather remarkable that Morgan had this bank vault, built into his private library. And so we're taking all of these beautiful boxes that were made throughout the centuries for Morgan's medieval manuscripts that have now been rehoused, and placing those boxes in here along with some of our collection of rare books and a lot of the catalogs that Morgan had published on his own collection during his lifetime. And those will be in here with, as Bill mentioned, some small bronze objects that he also collected to really convey the importance of this as a vault space, but also that when dealers would bring Morgan things to consider, this is where they would be put. And it's very rare. You certainly couldn't come today and have a peek into our vaults. And so it's very rare to have the opportunity to show people what, Morgan, how he prized this collection, and what makes this building so distinctive is that it was so purpose-built. And that's incredibly rare that somebody would build a building for, really at that time, was a book collection. And it's so exceptional. I think this space really helps us tell that part of the story very effectively.
Sounds like you've got a lot of work to do between now and the end of October, so get started, Jennifer. Thank you.